Was this dirty or not dirty?
It was not a dirty play. I understand, Skip. And we talked about it last week, Skip. When I was growing up, guy got injured. We automatically assumed it was a dirty play. Look, and I do this all the time, Skip, and you've heard me say it since I've been on here. Intent only matters to LeBron. Isaiah Stewart still he still was leaking. And so for me, Skip, it looked to me, they're at the free throw line, they're jockeying for position. Isaiah Stewart has they're trying to fight for position. And we've all been in this. If you played sports, get your hands off me. And he didn't hit him with his elbow. He back-fisted him. So it was his fist that caught Isaiah Stewart right in the corner of his eye, and it opened up a wound. Now, it opened it up, Skip. No denying that. And LeBron should have been ejected. That is a flagrant 2. I tweeted at the time. They're probably going to toss LeBron for this. When you go back, Skip, and you look at it in slow motion, yeah, it looks really, really bad. And LeBron James deserved to be ejected from the ball game for a flagrant 2. But I do not believe LeBron James intentionally hit this man in his face. They're fighting for position. It happens all the time. And you're trying to get his hands down on the free throw line, trying to get position. He's trying to get your hands down, arms down, trying to gain position. And in the process, LeBron's like, man, get your hands off me. It's happened before. So for me, no, I do not think it was a dirty play. I think it was a play that LeBron should have been ejected. But all this grandstanding that Stewart was doing, LeBron James was standing closer than what you and I are today. That's how close LeBron was. If he wanted to take off, he could have took off. It wasn't until everybody tried to restrain him. Let me go, man. Let me go. Let me at it. Okay, I'm good, man. I'm good. Let me at him again. Bro, LeBron was standing right there in front of you. He turned to you and say, my bad. I didn't mean to do that, bro. My bad. He's standing face to face with Isaiah Stewart. If Isaiah Stewart really wanted to take off, he'd have took off on him. But that's not what he wanted. He wanted to do all that fronting and pretending. And I get, Skip, the similarity. Different locations, same team, the Pistons. We know what happened in the Pistons. What was that, 2005, 2000, somewhere around 4?
Yeah.
Somewhere around that time.
Almost to the day. It's just 2 days after.
Yeah. So, Skip, we get all that. But for me, you can't automatically assume, Skip, if something egregious happens, that it was an intent. It was an intentional act that LeBron says, okay, I'm going to get your hands off me. I'm going to hit you in your face. That's what intent has to be. I don't believe in LeBron intentionally. It happened. Isaiah Stewart was still bloody. And like I said, and it shouldn't have been once he saw the blood, he looked up at the Jumbotron, he saw the blood, saw his face. That shouldn't have been it. If you thought LeBron James did that on purpose, when he was standing right there, you should have took off on him. You didn't. You did all that fronting, pretending like you wanted to get at somebody, and you weren't trying to get at nobody.
Interesting. Okay, my first issue with everything you just detailed was, if it's not dirty, why did the refs take one quick look at it? It was under a minute, and they threw him out with a flagrant 2. How can a flagrant 2 not be dirty?
Skip, here's the thing. Yeah, Skip, it was... I think what we're conflating the two. Skip, you look at the replay. You see LeBron hit the man with his fist in the back. Okay, boom, you're gone. You didn't have to look at it because, as a matter of fact, Scott Foster said it was a hostile act even before he took it. Even before he looked at it, he said it was a hostile act. So they didn't really need to look at the replay because Scott Foster was looking right at it to begin with. That's how. Okay, continue on.
Okay, so I still don't get how that's not dirty, because it is dirty. It's flat out. The referees confirm quickly, dirty play. Unnecessary and excessive contact above the shoulder. That's called a dirty play.
Skip, okay, it's unnecessary. Okay. But if we're fighting in the scheme of things, Skip.
All right, so here's the problem. If somebody is jostling you, elbowing you in the chest, you fight low. You fight below the neckline. You push their arm away. Okay, LeBron James had a second to gather himself. He closed his fist. Did he not close his fist? This was not open-handed. If you're just trying to shove somebody, you do it with an open hand. He closed his fist, and he looked at the man, looked at him right in the face.
No, he didn't.
And he led with his elbow, and I'm still convinced it's almost quicker than the eye. I think the elbow caught Isaiah above the eye first, because he led with his elbow and then continued on and got him with his forearm and the back of his fist across the face, and he also hit him in the mouth. mouth. And it took 5 stitches to close the wound, and obviously it started to gush blood. And again, I think Isaiah Stewart was so dumbfounded by just getting cold-cocked, cheap-shotted by LeBron James, the face of the league, who has no track record of anything dirty in his whole career, that he was stunned. He dropped to his knees for a second. He got up, and LeBron is approaching him like, hey, man, like I didn't mean to. I don't know what he said.
That's what he said.
But Isaiah said something back to him, and then all of a sudden LeBron took exception, and that's when it should have gone down, right then and there.
Okay.
And I believe that Isaiah Stewart, who boxed competitively when he was in high school, would have gone as long as LeBron wanted to go. And I believe that LeBron needed some kind of police protection to get to the bus, because that young man, who's all of 20 years of age, wanted a big old piece of the face of the
Well, you just said it. He was right there. It should have gone down.
Okay,
so why didn't it?
Okay, he's dumbfounded. He's cold-cocked. He's blindsided, and he's shook because he got concussed, man. He got rocked.
So,
that was a shot to the face, and it was elbow, forearm shiver, and back of fist.
I think he caught him. I think he caught him with his back fist.
But it was aimed. It was up high. It was to the face. LeBron should be suspended. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But the point is that it was, again, out of nowhere, a shot from LeBron James. But what was the circumstance? They're down 79-67. They're down 12 points with 9:18 left in the third quarter. And the handwriting on the arena wall was, you guys are in trouble again. You're about to get embarrassed again. LeBron had scored all of 10 points with 1 rebound at that point. 10 points, 1 rebound. He did have 5 assists. I'll give him that. But only 1 rebound. He was not playing at a high level with high energy. He knew his team was in trouble. He got frustrated that this kid was fighting him. And again, he's in the 3rd stall up. You know, like he's completely away from the basket because Carmelo was below in the first stall, right?
Correct, yes.
And so Isaiah's in the middle, and they're jostling, and it's a made free throw. The ball swishes, so it didn't even matter. The play was defunct. It was over, and all of a sudden, LeBron just couldn't take it. His frustration boiled over, and he popped the kid right in the face.
I knew you were going to go for that, and that's what I said. I said that on Twitter. You was going to say LeBron, they would lose it, and LeBron James says, I don't want to be a part of this. It's textbook, the way you do it. And guess what? You're wrong.
Well, I didn't say he tried to get thrown out. Yeah, I just say he boiled up. His frustration boiled over.
He didn't want to be a part of it.
First time in his life, he saw it coming.
So what did he see coming?
That they're going to lose again. They got rocked at Boston. They got blown off the floor by Boston in the third and the fourth quarters.
So was this going to be the first time they had lost a game this year?
No, they were about to fall to 8-9.
Okay,
you like that?
If they fall to
8-9,
wow. So what's the difference between 8 and 9? What's the difference between 8 and 9 and 10 and 8?
What's the difference?
Yes, what's the difference?
You're the Los Angeles Lakers that everybody picked to win the West.
You're still the Lakers, but you still haven't told me the difference. One game in November isn't going to make a difference.
You're about to lose to the Detroit Pistons, featuring a 20-year-old at center and a 19-year-old at point guard, the first pick in the draft, who was a disaster yesterday, as he's been many games, Kate Cunningham.
But guess what, Skip?
They're 4-11.
Okay.
4-11. That they've beaten Houston. Really? Okay.
And they've lost to OKC. So your point is what? They were frustrated about what?
They were stinking it up again.
But did they?
They're about to get blown out by Detroit.
And then what happened?
Okay, they roared back. And then I'm glad you brought that up, because the shame of this, the double shame of this, was that the Los Angeles Lakers, the once proud Lakers, actually had to stoop out of desperation to say, we turned our season around. We sucked it up and we gutted it out and we fought back against the Detroit Pistons. You should be ashamed. I thought maybe if you had any objectivity at all, you would come in here and say, you know what, I can't even stomach this anymore, that they're taking solace from this, as if the face of the league, who was completely in the wrong, who pulled off a dirty, cheap shot of a play on Isaiah Stewart, that he was suddenly the hero of this. We've got to do it for Laura. You're kidding me. You're going to do it for the guy who cheap-shotted a 20-year-old?
Is he your teammate or not?
Wow.
Is he your teammate or not?
How can you be inspired by that?
Is he your teammate or not?
I think the Lakers didn't even know what happened because it happened so fast. Unless you studied the replays, you didn't know how cheap it really was, just how dirty it was. And for them to say it was Vogel to say incidental contact, incidental? He aimed it.
No, he did not aim it. Stop saying that. Because you make it seem, because you said LeBron looked at him, turned around, looked at him in his face, and then hit him in his face. He did not do that, Skip.
Yeah, he did. He looked right at him.
No, he did not.
Closed fist.
Nope.
That's all you need to know. Closed fist.
Skip. That's what you're doing, Skip. When you turn around, when you're trying to get somebody's hand, you're jockeying for position. They're trying to get their arms in position to box you out. You're trying to do the same thing. LeBron James tried to swipe the man's arms down. He hit him in his face. Yes, he should have been ejected. But given Bron's history, you give him the benefit. Has LeBron ever done anything like this before?
Nope, he has not. But this has to be taken in and of itself. I've never done anything like this before, but if I walk down the hall here at Fox and I suddenly cold cock a guy, I should be held to the letter of the law.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. You can't say that because you can't say, well, if I did on the football field, if I did what somebody did on the football field, if I did that person to walking down the street, that's a totally different situation. You have to look at the situation. Yes, if anybody walking down the hallway hits somebody, they're going to be held to the letter of the law, and you're going to lose your job. But in basketball or sporting events, that's different than in the outside world. So I just want to know, how many times have a guy received a flagrant 2 and been suspended?
Well, he should be.
No.
I don't know.
But you say the letter of the law.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There have been guys that got flagrant 2s, got ejected. The injection in and of itself is the punishment. Mm-hmm. But you want to go outside of the scope. Why? Because it's LeBron.
No, it should be anybody who started something like that. And again, Isaiah Stewart should be suspended also. It should be like 2 games to 3 games.
Well, he's going to be, I think he'll be suspended for not leaving the court in a timely manner. I think that's what his suspension is going to be. Because, Skip, they give you a tech. They want you to promptly, the security normally comes out, grab you, and they take you to the locker room. But because he did not leave the court in a timely manner, I think he's probably going to get a game. I'm going to be surprised if LeBron gets a game because even though it was a flagrant 2, he was ejected. I do not think he did it in person, on purpose.
Okay. Yet they do play at Knicks on Tuesday night,
Correct.
So that should probably keep LeBron out of harm's way with the league. But we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Now let's go back to Carmelo after the game. I was watching on the local broadcast here, and he's saying, hopefully we can look back at this game as the one that changed our momentum for the season.
Right.
So what did I see at the end of this game? They had roared back to win the fourth quarter 37-17. And it was highly impressive until you think about the competition, the 4-11 Pistons. In the fourth quarter, what happened in the fourth quarter, if I could ask, to the Pistons? They shot 3 for 18. They were 1 of 6 from 3. And roaring back came your Los Angeles Lakers.
Yes.
All I heard was the Lakers raving about their comeback. And I'm thinking it has come to this for your Lakers. Your once proud Lakers are doing handsprings over a game at Detroit on an early Sunday evening.
Skip, I said that. Is that our season has gone so poorly that we have to be impressed and pleased with a come-from-behind victory against Detroit. But that's what, Skip, that's where the Lakers are currently. That's where they are. Yes, this season has been a major disappointment thus far. Now, we don't know how it's going to end, but thus far, 17, 18 games into the season, I think all Laker fans, even the Lakers themselves, will say this has been a major disappointment. And it has been. When you have the level of talent that they have, yes, most of them are a little older. The most talented players are a little older. It still is unacceptable for them to have the record that they have. But with that being said, back to our originally scheduled program about LeBron. Skip, LeBron should have been ejected. Whether he intended to do it or not, that was a flagrant 2 foul. So he's ejected. But also, and again, I love to say this, intent. Intent matters to LeBron because LeBron said, man, I didn't mean to do this. And I don't believe he did. But Isaiah Stewart is still just as bloody, still as frustrated because of what transpired. And I can, Skip, if I'm Isaiah Stewart, I'm going to be livid also. I'm going to be livid also. Because when somebody hits you in your face, you don't think it's an accident. Like, bro, of all the places you could have hit me, this is where you caught me. So I get Isaiah Stewart's level of frustration. I would be equally frustrated. But I'm not going to go back and forth and back and forth. If I had felt that you had did it on purpose, hey, just run off.
The only reason he didn't immediately throw fists in retaliation was it wasn't Dwight Howard who did it. If it had been Dwight, I promise you fists would have flown. It was LeBron James, who has no track record of this, but did do it.
Yes,
and it took him a few seconds to realize, what? You just busted me right in the face?
Right.
And you're walking up to me like it's no big deal?
No, Skip, I'm walking up to you trying to explain, bro, my bad. I didn't mean to do that, bro. We was fighting for position.
And once it sank in, he went berserk. And once it sank in deeper and deeper, they could not restrain him. The Lakers were very fortunate that it took all the coaches, and the whole coaching staff was like doing Jeff Van Gundy tackling of him around the legs. Dwayne Casey tackled him around the legs. It looked like Dwayne somehow cut his own hand. And it took all of his teammates. It took all the King's horses and all the King's men to restrain him. And the point was, I'm looking at relief on all the Lakers' faces because the last thing they wanted to deal with was that raging bull getting loose and getting into the middle of them, because it would have been up to AD and who else was up there? Maybe Dwight. DJ. I didn't see Dwight, actually.
Dwight Howard was on the bench.
Okay.
And there was, because I went back and listened to it after the thing, and the PA announcer, everybody please stay in your seats. Please stay in your seats. The last thing that you want to Skip. The NBA cannot ill afford to have another situation like that.
But the last thing the Lakers wanted was for him to get loose, because I promise you some more blood would have gotten spilled.
Well, Skip, look, in a situation like that, the adrenaline is pumping. And that's why I say when you get a man, especially a professional football player, basketball player, Skip, and his adrenaline get going, it's hard as hell to restrain him.
Yep.
It's hard.
And when they finally did subdue him and they escorted him up the tunnel, he broke free again and made a hard left running full speed to the locker room, hoping to circle completely back around. And so all the officials immediately notify the Laker bench, be careful, he may come out on the other side, right?
Right.
That's how out of control he was at that point.
Yeah, he's frustrated. I get his level of frustration.
So do
because I got, you get hit in the face. Because at the time, Skip, I'm not like, damn, bro, you just hit me in the face, bro. And so, LeBron is trying to explain, bro, my bad. My hand got a little high. We were fighting for position. Bro, I ain't trying to hit you in your face, bro. LeBron is trying to explain it to him because that's the LeBron how he is. Now, if that was been back in the day, the 80s, ain't nobody offering you no explanation, Skip. You covered the game in the 80s and 90s, ain't nobody offering no explanation. Oh, well, you just got hit in the face. You remember when Karl Malone opened up a 44-inch stitch gash over Isaiah Thomas's eye?
He did.
And didn't apologize.
And I was there the night way back when Kermit Washington completely lost a running start and hit Rudy as hard as he could right in the jaw and nearly killed him. And I was on hospital watch at Sentinella Hospital the rest of the night, hoping that Rudy could just make it through the night, and thank God, I'm knocking on wood, he did.
I'm glad they don't let him fight like this.
Okay, well, I kept thinking as I'm watching this live, if he gets loose, we could have another Kermit Washington moment.
Well, you remember when Kareem punched Kent Benson?
Yeah, he did.
And broke his hand.
He did.
I mean, there have been a lot of situations, Skip. Obviously, the NBA got away from that, and I'm glad they did. But I get Skip. I'm not saying I don't get Isaiah Stewart level of frustration in a situation like that, bro. You hit me in my, I'm like, damn, bro, really? So, but I do not believe LeBron act was egregious. I do not believe he intended to do it. But that doesn't matter to Isaiah Stewart. It only matters to LeBron. But he's not going to get suspended.
Dirty.
There you go. And stop saying that.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.